Good afternoon, everyone. We begin today's live discussion with a prayer to be followed by the Philippine National Anthem. Almighty God, we give glory to your mighty name. We thank you, O God, for gathering us today, a testament of your love and protection for the people who love and serve you. We thank you for our senses, most especially for the gift of sight, enabling us to see the wonders of your creation. Hear our prayer as we ask for understanding and wisdom, that we may be able to put in practical use the knowledge we will gain, especially to help those we meet in our daily tasks. May you be pleased, O God, that in everything we say and do, may we always give all glory to you. Amen.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, helas ng sinakalan, alam ng puso, sa dikit mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, kuya ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisigil, sa nagtatagtutog sa simoy at sa langit mong pagaw, ay hinatang tulad, awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang isang ng patawad mo'y tagumpay na nag-iindig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magdidinig. Luman ang araw ng walhagit pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang inigaya ng pagkay mga amin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Once again, good afternoon, everyone. August is Sight Saving Month. By the way, I am Miles Ong of the Dumaguete City Host Lions Club International, and I will be your host for this event. Today's activity is through the collaboration of the Provincial Office of Negros Oriental, Fred Hallows Foundation Philippines, the Dumaguete City Host Lions Club International, and the Negros Oriental Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We also acknowledge our viewers today, our Kinakusgang healthcare workforce from the different rural health units of the province of Negros Oriental. Before we proceed further, we would like to remind everyone that this is a Zoom webinar. All attendees have their microphones and cameras turned off. You may share your comments and reactions in the chat box and your questions in the Q&A section. Both are found below. For those who want e-certificates for this event's attendance, you may answer the poll question at the end of this webinar, or also a link to the online form will be posted in the chat box. By the way, we are also live on the Facebook page of the Dumaguete City Host Lions Club. As very practical information will be imparted to us, you can share the FB live feed with your loved ones as well. To formally open today's discussion, we would like to give the spotlight to the head of the Region 7's Non-Communicable Disease Section of the Department of Health, Dr. Dino Cain.
Greetings and welcome to the Sight Saving Month celebration this August. Again, welcome to our virtual participants from the Department of Health, Department of Education, healthcare workers from our beloved province of Negros Oriental, our DMOs, colleagues, guests, friends. A pleasant good day to you all. Dr. Martin Luther King once said, "Of all forms of inequality, injustice in healthcare is the most shocking, degrading, inhuman, and unchristian." Thus, the Republic Act 11223, otherwise known as the Universal Healthcare Law, aims to address these injustices in our healthcare system, wherein all Filipino citizens will have access to quality and affordable healthcare services. Prevention of Blindness Program, which is the theme for this month's celebration, has revised its implementing rules and regulations, Administrative Order number 203, series number 10, and changing it to the National Prevention Blindness Program as its framework, which has a vision that all Filipinos have the right to enjoy sight and goal and to reduce avoidable visual impairment by at least 25% by year 2022. That's next year. According to the Philippine Eye Disease Results Survey in 2018, the major cause of visual impairment among more than 1 million Filipinos is number 1, cataract. This is followed by uncorrected error of refraction. Third is glaucoma, which affects almost 1/3 million of Filipinos as patients suffering from eye problems. You know, a person with low vision is one who has impairment and or standard refractive correction and has a visual acuity of less than 6/18 light perception, or a visual field of less than 10 degrees from the point of fixation, but who uses and is potentially able to use vision for the planning and execution of a particular normal task. As of 2015, National Statistic Coordination Board, or NSCB, only 6,341 Filipinos availed of the PhilHealth package out of the 92,000 indigent patients blind from cataract allotted for them. This could have been an opportunity to gain medical access for the poor and disadvantaged group, and a source, of course, of income for PhilHealth from government hospitals as well as clinics and healthcare centers. Then blindness could have been reduced. This is primarily due to lack of information campaign and decreased public awareness of these benefits, which made the general population unaware that they can avail of this PhilHealth package for cataract operation. Thus, with this partnership between Fred Hallows Foundation, the Provincial Health Office of Negros Oriental, the different divisions and of the Department of Education, of course, our local government units and other stakeholders, especially our rural health units, shall continue to provide technical assistance at all times in the prevention of blindness through virtual activities such as webinar and other initiatives, especially now in times of pandemic and uncertainties. Together, we shall all contribute to the shared vision of implementing the National Prevention of Blindness Program, not only Negros Oriental, hopefully throughout the region. Let us continue supporting each other because the success of the Central Visayas Region Initiative lies heavily on your participation and commitment to reduce avoidable blindness. Remember, it's avoidable, and aim for a better eyesight for every Filipinos in the near future. I will end my short welcome address to you beautiful people in Negros Oriental with this very time-tested saying that the only thing worse than being blind is having sight and having no vision. In other words, if you don't use your vision to gain access to this program so you can help your less fortunate brothers and sisters in the community in the prevention of blindness, then you have to ask yourself, what have I done to help my fellow Filipinos? But rest assured that we will not fail and no Filipinos will be left behind in this National Prevention of Blindness Program by the Department of Health, in cooperation with the DepEd, the PHO, the LGUs, and all our beloved partners. Again, daghang salamat, mabuhay, and God bless us everyone.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kain. And now we can officially start. Let us now welcome Mr. John Halandoni of Negros Oriental Chamber of Commerce and Industry to introduce our first speaker.
Our speaker is a graduate of Cebu Doctors University in 2006. She ranked 8th in the 2006 optometrist licensure board examination. She has been actively practicing clinical optometry for 15 years already and focuses on myopia control and management. She also extends her time doing volunteer works at the Negros Oriental Provincial Hospital Eye Center. Her clinic is also a rotation center for optometry. Students from various optometry schools in the country where students can learn and experience the actual clinical optometry practice. She was a past board of trustee in 2016 to 2017 Vice President in 2017 to 2018, and past President 2018 to 2019 of the Optometric Association of the Philippines. She is now a member of the Professional OD Society, a group of young optometrists with a passion and vision to promote and advance Philippine optometry in Asia, a clinical research relevant eye care profession in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Dr. Rheza Marisse Badon-Tabasuares.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Let me just share my screen to start my talk. Okay, for this afternoon, I'll be discussing and sharing to everyone here listening right now what you should know about computer vision syndrome and myopia. So in terms of financial disclosure, I do not have any financial interest in any of the product or company that will be mentioned during this presentation. So for this afternoon, the objectives of my presentation are to raise awareness about the causes and symptoms of computer vision syndrome, or otherwise called digital eye strain, and also to raise awareness about myopia, the definition of myopia and its sight-threatening conditions, and also to understand the causes of these problems, and to encourage everyone to be proactive in addressing those eye problems that will be mentioned this afternoon. So to start with, just to give you a brief idea of what's happening around the world, currently we have 7.9 billion population in the world, and 55.1% are the active social media users globally. And there's an average amount of time per day spent using social media of 2 hours and 22 minutes. So total number of active social media users, that's approximately 4.3 billion in the world. And surprisingly, for this next slide, Philippines actually ranked first with a daily time spent of 4 hours and 15 minutes a day using social media. So you will really be surprised that Philippines is there. And the last one, ranked last, is Japan. So imagine, over there, Philippines. Okay. So what are the activities online? What do we usually do? So over here, 92.2% visited an online retail store or site, and 81.8% search a product online to buy or service to buy online. And also 40%, 40.1% sold a product online. So because of our pandemic, our situation, a lot already sold their products, services online. It's easier, it's more easy, and you can also directly share information about anything. And over here, Facebook is the world's most used platforms with 2.7 billion in the world. Okay, so these information are really very important, especially for my talk this afternoon. And aside from social media, you know, digital devices has increased substantially in recent years across all age groups. So that extensive use, daily use for both social, professional, educational purposes is actually normal. So for our kids right now, they do have online classes as well. And over here, my next slide is also a survey from the social weather stations. So currently in the Philippines, there's 87% of currently enrolled students and 13% currently not enrolled. And out of the 87% who are enrolled, 80% there, or 23.8 million children or students are purely into modular distance learning. And then 14% or 4.3 million are purely online distance learning. So basically over here, the 80%, 14%, even though it's still modular, but their eyes are still looking at near at the extended period of time. And especially here, the online distance learning also 14%. And next, 45% for elementary students, pre-primary 7%. So that would be more than half of the population who are currently enrolled are kids. This is my talk for this afternoon, computer vision syndrome. So what's computer vision syndrome? So maybe you've heard about digital eye strain as well. So that's the other another term for computer vision syndrome. So computer vision syndrome is actually characterized by a complex of eye and vision problems related or experienced during the use of the computer. And this problem, computer vision syndrome or the digital eye strain, the prevalence of digital eye strain has received attention in the scientific literature for over 20 years. It's not only a problem after the pandemic or during the pandemic, but it's been there for 20 years already. So over here, we have some symptoms. Maybe you experience one of them. So these are the common symptoms. So for here on the orange color side, orange color colored symptoms, we have burning sensation, redness, we have dryness as well, tearing. So these ones over here, the first four here are related to or linked to dry eyes. And next, the green ones over here. The green ones are blurring of vision, double vision, presbyopia. This one is a condition wherein blurred ang vision at near, but the far is okay. And myopia, vision is clear at near but blurred at far. And slowness of focus change. So this means that maybe you've noticed na when you try to look at near, when you look at your screens or look or read something, and suddenly you want to look at far, it will take time to refocus, readjust your focus when you look at near. So those are the symptoms. These green symptoms are actually associated with focusing problems. And the blue ones are the external factors, which are neck stiffness, neck pain, shoulder pain, headache, and backache. And then while we are also into online learning, especially for teachers or for workers, health workers, or anybody who's working in the office, we still need to wear masks. We are actually wearing masks. So if you notice here, this is mask-associated dry eye. So what's MAID? MAID is actually it's a kind of dry eyes because of the wearing of mask. The cause? So when you wear your mask, air from breathing out is channeled out to the top of the face mask. And then over the surface of the eye. So once the air goes up, and then movement of air over the eyes causes tears to evaporate. That's why some of you, or maybe most of you, will be experiencing or are experiencing dry eyes. That's because of the wearing of mask. And then because of that, eyes feel dry, itchy, gritty, irritated, or sometimes maka-feel mo na murag sandy lagi balason ako ang mata or iyong eyes. So that's because of the wearing of mask. But then wearing of mask again is so essential, especially nowadays, to help reduce the spread of COVID-19. But we have to make sure that if you have some symptoms like MAID, if you have MAID problem, our solution to that is first, ensure that your mask fits well. So when you wear a mask, dapat nagiyahang ka ng wire here, dapat naka-press good maayo. And then if possible, there are some tape na pwede yung ibutang dinhi. So for our health workers, especially nurses, doctors, when they go to hospitals, when they work, they have some tapes here on top of the edge of the mask for prolonged wear. And then dili siya mo steam up And then especially for those who are wearing glasses. So it's so challenging when you wear masks and wear glasses and then you wear your shield. So when you ensure that your mask fits well, then you don't have any problems for dry eyes. But then if you feel that medyo you have those symptoms, try lubricating your eyes because it alleviates dry eyes. And then, but of course, if you experience really very severe symptoms like dili madala na uguan, lubricants, because you just bought it over the counter, consult your eye doctor because we have proper assessment on what to give. Kaya there are different types of dry eyes, mampod. Okay, and then lastly, limit time in air-conditioned environments para medyo dili mo dry. But then, we cannot reduce the time man pod, no? So make sure lang na if you have humidifiers, that can help. And then put lubricants to make sure na dili mag-dry in your eyes. So for my next slide, there is an activity here. Maybe after this video, you can type in the chat box how many seconds. Okay, so there's a question here later. And I'll play the video now. So did everybody actually tried to do that? So how many seconds man mo ni blink after counting? So for me, I actually blink after 4 seconds. So my eyes are actually very dry because there is a category, kung say mga categories na is it mild ba dry eyes or moderate dry eyes and severe dry eyes. Again, we have to assess it correctly and properly to give you proper lubricants. But unsa may naa, what's with lubricants? Nga it can help alleviate our symptoms. So in my next video, this is just try to look at the video and understand why lubricants or eye drops are so important in our eyes.
In treating ocular surface disease, a therapy that allows the ocular environment to return to normal is the first step. The intelligent delivery system of Systane Ultra, consisting of HP guar, borate and sorbitol, enables the ingredients polyethylene glycol and propylene glycol to lubricate and provide protection. As this intelligent delivery system interacts with the tear film, the pH adjusts to the natural pH of the eye, optimizing the viscosity of the solution. This allows for a comfortable installation by improved spreading of the drop over the ocular surface with less blur, which then becomes more elastic and structured as it interacts with the now hydrophobic areas of damaged cornea. After the initial coating forms, Systane Ultra lubricant eye drops interact with divalent ions in the tear film, releasing the sorbitol and allowing stronger cross-linking between borate and HP guar. The result is a tightly structured protective matrix over damaged areas of the ocular surface. HP guar and borate bind to areas on the cornea that lack normal architecture. The HP guar matrix that forms serves as a bandage, which promotes healing of the disrupted ocular surface and may eventually lead to a return to normalcy for the tear layer. By working with the tear film chemistry and eyelid mechanics, this highly structured protective matrix provides retention of the demulcents to allow for long-lasting lubrication and surface protection.
And so that's the reason behind lubricants. So lubricants, eye drops, brings back the normalcy of the tear film and its function. So it means na when your eyes are dry, it's actually disrupted na ang iyang tear film, because when we say tear film, we actually have 3 layers of our tears. Okay, na ay medyo oily. The first one is the oily layer. We call it lipid. Next is the aqueous, or the watery, and mucin. So if we lack lipid there, because na-evaporate na siya, that's why ma-open up ang ato ang tears, leading to dry eyes. Muna siyang you feel na murag when you try to blink less, then muna mo dry ang mata. So that's why there is a normal blinking rate, or blink. How many times man tayo usually mo blink? So actually, we need to blink a minimum of 15 times per minute to make sure na proper lang ito ang lubrication sa eyes. And then, once it's lubricated properly, then you're not prone to dry eyes. Okay. So next, another just to give a table here, factors contributing to dry eyes. Computer vision syndrome and digital eye strain. The personal factors are poor sitting posture. Look at this photo. And then improper viewing distance. So the distance could be close or too far apart. And then improper viewing angle. So meaning the angle of your monitor is wrong. Okay, and then ocular diseases, medical diseases, and aging. So these are some personal factors. Why meaning ocular diseases or medical diseases? That can contribute also to computer vision syndrome, because some diseases can also lead to dry eye. The cause is because of these conditions, ni dry ang eyes in short. And then environmental factors, poor lighting, imbalance of light between the computer screen and the surrounding. And then another one is computer factors in computer, meaning resolution, poor contrast, glare of the display. So glary kaayo ang too glary ang monitor in short, and slow refresh rate. Okay, so this means if medyo you're looking at something and then medyo slow po dang iyang pag-process sa iyong monitor because of some maybe internet connection. So over here, so it was actually categorized into 3, and then for my next one, this is the correct sitting posture. So ideally, we call this proper or the correct visual ergonomics. So what do we do? So basically, we have to make sure that our body first, let's take note. Okay, so our body first should be straight, 90 degrees. Yan. And then the arms, if you notice, dapat more or less at least 90 to 120 degrees ang yang angle para comfortable, dili laylay sa my shoulder area. And then if you take note as well, the distance, approximately 18 to 24 inches or 45 to 70 centimeters away ang inyong monitor or screen or desktop. And then make sure po the angle over here, angle of the monitor and the eyes. So it means that if your monitor is at least maybe that's 15 degrees. 15 degrees and the eyes also are looking down. So it's actually parallel. Parallel silang duha, creating no discomfort when you look at the computer screen. Okay? And also don't forget your legs, the thighs especially, should be parallel to the floor. Para dili po tired ang ato ang sitting when we sit, I mean. And also again, the feet should be parallel to the floor as well. So thighs and feet should be parallel para ato ang circulation sa blood okay ra gyapon, normal ra gyapon. And most importantly, take a break. Ideally, we have at least 20 to 25 minutes dapat mo break ato ang mata, and you can stand up and exercise and move. Okay? And then we have also, according to World Council of Optometry, they have a solution to that problem. So first, if you have again those symptoms, eye strain, headache, blurring of vision, dry eyes, and neck pain, and then what you have to make sure is to blink frequently, again, 15 times per minute. Tamo blink. Okay? So if you blink mo, if you try to notice your friend, your colleague, or anybody, try to observe if how many times siya ni-blink. Okay, but ideally it's 15, at least 15 times. And then make sure your monitor should be, again, proper distance, proper angle, and then your sitting posture, dapat correct. And also, adjust your surroundings to avoid glare. Make sure po na well-lit ang room. If your rooms are not that bright, make sure na naamoy lamp beside you on your table, facing the monitor, not your eyes. Kaya it will dry up na pod and cause irritation, cause glare, and later on lead to headache. And then make sure you follow the 20-20-20 rule. Take a break every 20 minutes, look at far, at 20 feet. Kaya our eyes, when we look straight, our eyes are not, the muscles of our eyes are not contracting or moving or doing anything. Aside sa external muscles nato sa eyes, the most important muscle, which is the sulod na muscle sa mata, that's the muscle wherein we need to focus at near. So when we look at far, relax ang atong muscles at near. I mean, when you look at far. And then, but again, if you have experienced symptoms na jud, make sure you visit your eye doctor. Okay? So that's for computer vision syndrome or digital eye strain. So perhaps you know now the term digital eye strain or CVS. And then maybe you can also try to adjust na your surroundings in your workplace, especially. And make sure lang na ma-follow ninyo to ang proper visual ergonomics. Okay? For my next topic, this is a very important topic, myopia. Myopia is a global health issue. It's a problem. That's because it's increasing rapidly already, not just in the Philippines, but in other parts of the world. So to give you an overview about myopia, myopia is a type of refractive error, but refractive error, these are some problems in our eyes. It means it's a focusing problem, meaning blurring of vision ba sa far, at near, and also sometimes at far and near. So we have refractive error types. We actually have 4. First is myopia, or we call it near or short-sightedness, hyperopia or far or long-sightedness, astigmatism, still astigmatism, and presbyopia, or what we call old eyes. So in Chinese, they call it lao hua. So that's presbyopia. And some symptoms, again, just to let you know, again, myopic vision or nearsightedness, blurred sa far, that's how they see. And hyperopic is blurred at near. So hyperopia and presbyopia are similar. They have similar symptoms, which is blurring of vision at near. And astigmatism. Astigmatism is, you can still see, but if you see here, medyo glary siya, distorted po ang iyang, especially the lights over here. Tail lights, the traffic lights. So it's basically murag scattered yung ilahang vision. So that's astigmatism. Okay. Oh, so this is a normal eye. Again, when we say normal, when we focus, when we look at something, it's actually directed or focused here on the retina. So the retina is the yellowish part. So that's the retina, the innermost layer. So retina, what's retina? It is a light-sensitive layer. It means without the retina, walay image ma-capture. Like a camera, before, if there is no film, no image. So that's the retina. Very important is siyang part sa tuwang eyes. And also, for myopia, if there is if the patient, if somebody is myopic, the focus is in front. That's why when we put lenses or contact lenses or correction, it brings the focus on the retina, onto the retina. That's why clear ilahang makitaan. Okay? And to give also another example, so again, this is the normal eye. The focus is on the retina. A myopic eye is in front of the retina ang focus. But how about those very highly myopic? Katong tagas yung kay grado. When we say tagas, it's above 5 to 600 and above. Or even 7, 8, 1,000. So that's highly myopic. So when we have highly myopic eyes, the eyeballs are really long. Okay? So basically, the most common type of myopia is the eggshell. You call it the length of the eyeball. It's long. So once the eyeballs are long, we also have those sight-threatening conditions. Okay, so later on, I will discuss that. So how do we doctors assess the risk of onset or risk of progression? So first off, when we assess the patient, or to anybody here who are doctors as well, especially in the rural health units in Negros Oriental, when you assess your patients, if you have patients, try to ask if your parents ba or one parent ba is myopic or nearsighted. We also have to ask, of course, we are in Asia, so probably East Asian ang patient. And then we also need to ask, this is very important, near work. You have to ask how many hours sila mo use or mo read. Okay? So when they read, pila ka hours, minimum ba of 2 hours, 3 hours or more. So it's a very important data that you have to get. Okay, we have to collect. So number of hours at near work, and most especially outer time. Nowadays, we know na limited lang siya, especially maybe wala dyan gawas-gawas ang mga kids nowadays because of our situation right now. It's really very difficult. That's why the myopic prevalence is really rising rapidly, quickly, especially now in the Philippines. So these are the risks for onset. And also, I'd like to explain the refractive error. Refractive error, it means the grade of the eyes. So, if you notice here, more myopic than age normal or progression worse than 0.75 per year. So this means that if the kid, for example, at age 6 years old, and normally at age 6, dapat plus 0.75 more or less ang grado sa mata. It means because it's still developing pang eyeballs, naagod siya expected nga ning ana nga grado. But if naanay grade ang patient at 6 years old, and then let's say lang 0.50 ang grado, minus 0.50 and not plus. Okay, take note, plus again is normal. Ang minus is, example, if naay minus ang grado ang bata, then that means risk na siya for developing myopia. Okay, and over here, increased risk of progression. So again, if the myopic age is below 9 years old, that means if naamoy makita nga kids or students later on, or anybody in your family who started wearing glasses at age below 9, even as early as 2, 3, 4, 5, then the risk of progression will be higher. Okay, so again, below 9 ang age, definitely high would kaayo ilahang grado when they reach at least 17 to 18 years old. So later on again, I will have a graph to show you the future grade of a patient or a person if nag-start siya at a young age. And again, other factors similar to the risk of onset are a parental myopia, one or both parents, because for one parent, na siya associated risk for developing myopia. So at least if one parent is myopic, there is a 3 times risk to develop myopia. Okay? And then if both parents, 6 to 7 times ang risk to develop myopia. I mean, to progress pag yun sa myopia. And then refractive error as well is the same. So again, make sure that when you assess somebody, especially our rural health doctors, nurses, and health workers, barangay health workers, try to ask these assessment questions, I mean. Okay. So, for my next one, if you notice here, minus 100, minus 300, minus 600. So this is how they see. So if the patient has one, blurring of very blurred yun ang 600, no? Shape na lang ang ito ang ilahang man-notice. That's why if you notice somebody na more or less mga kids, especially na mabanggaan or nabangga sila, it's because maybe their vision is really blurred and not just clumsy ang bata. Okay, so this is how they see. Okay, this one, this statistics, information anyway, about myopia is a very important, this is a very important photo right now. This figure, the World Health Organization and Brian Holden Vision Institute estimated that by year 2050, half of the global population will be myopic or nearsighted. So currently over here, 33% sa entire world ang nearsighted. So 20 years before or 20 years ago, 22% lang ang ato ang mga myopic patients. So 1.3 billion in the world. And it's increasing, okay? Up to even by 2050, they projected it na mahimong 52%. So imagine if the eyes of our kids will be myopic by that time, there are sight-threatening conditions that are associated kung dili makontrol ang grado sa bata. Okay? So this is myopia. So they categorize it into two according to for the purpose of this study. Myopia is below 500. High myopia is above 500. So this is above 500. And high myopia, this one, currently we have 300 million highly myopic patients. And by 2050, they projected it to increase to 10% of the global population. So that's high myopia. So take note, this data was adopted by last 2016 only. So 2016, but now because of the pandemic, it will go higher, even higher to what they projected. Okay, so this is the most important part of my talk. The sight-threatening conditions that might happen if we do not control the myopia or the grade. Ang grado sa bata if di nato makontrol. Okay? First, if somebody or anybody has a minus 100 or 300 na grado, 1 to 3, there is a risk of 2.1 times magka-cataract. And then retinal detachment, 3.1 risk, and myopic maculopathy. So cataract, if you look here in my illustration, in this illustration, cataract is the part wherein blurred ang vision sa center part, central, posterior part sa lens. So the blue colored oval, that's the lens. So this is the posterior subcapsular cataract, meaning blurred or cloudy ang lens sa center. And then if 3 to 600, 3.1 the risk, 6 to 800, 5.5 the risk of having or developing cataract. As for the retinal detachment, again, I mentioned the retina is light sensitive layer of our eyes. So na-detach because nitaas ang mata, that's why na-detach. Okay? So it's so scary if the grade is higher than 6, 21.5 ang risk na mo develop na. It will happen. Okay? Myopic maculopathy, 40.6 times the risk of developing or having myopic maculopathy if ang grado ning ani. Okay? So even though at a young age na aslay 100, it's still alarming because there is a risk gihapon that these conditions will happen. Okay? So cataract, retinal detachment, myopic maculopathy. So these are the three sight-threatening conditions. In other studies or other researchers, they also included glaucoma to be part of the sight-threatening condition as well. But over here, I will just discuss the three. So unsa may makita sa patient if they have cataract? So this is how they see. First, again, the posterior part of the lens is cloudy. So ilang makita is like this. Cloudy sad ilang makita. Okay, so this is a normal vision. This is a cataract. It's a patient with cataract. Particularly in the middle lang. Retinal detachment, again, na-detach because taas ra kayo ang eyeballs. So this is how they see. Amura siya curtain-like ang iyang vision na ay mga floaters. It's because na-detach na ang retina. So this is how a beautiful view is, a normal vision. And then lastly, myopic maculopathy. So this is our eye. Monisha, this is how we see inside. And then when you look at the fundus, we call it fundus or the retina. The optic disc here, this is the optic nerve. This is actually important part of our eyes as well. Okay, when we see through the retina, it sends signal from the retina to the nerve fibers directly to our brain, and then the brain will interpret as clear or blurred. So again, myopic maculopathy. Maculopathy is an abnormality or nangamatay or degenerate ang cells at the central part of the eye, which is the macula over here. So this is the macular area. So it's yellowish patchy. It's because, again, stretch na ang mata. Sometimes, blood vessels as well, like this one, the red ones, will leak. Again, elongated ang mata. So this is a normal vision. This is a myopic maculopathy, a patient with myopic maculopathy. So because of the damage of the central part of the retina, which is the macula, we call it macula, munang blur or nawala ilahang vision at near. Okay? And so, because so that dili mahitabo tong mga conditions, we actually, or some organizations or recommend that first 6 months dapat na anay eye exam ang bata. So this is how often you should send your kids to an eye doctor. 6 months old, first eye exam. Next is 3 years old. Ang uban, 2 to 3 years old, they send it now for an eye exam. And then 5 to 6 years old, usually kindergarten time naman or years. And then every 1 year or 2 years. So again, the follow-up check or how often you should go to your doctor, it should depend on the case, okay? And also, just for your information, we have a National Vision Screening Act, a national law, RA 11358. This is an act establishing a national vision screening program for kindergarten pupils and appropriating funds, therefore. So this is actually established under the Department of Education, which is primarily intended to screen the eye vision of kindergarten pupils. So teachers and school nurses are trained to screen children, kindergarten, especially kindergarten. But just to also inform everyone that screening is okay, but the most important thing is they should be comprehensively checked. Because when we screen, when they screen, or when we screen only, it's just screening if the vision is clear at far and clear at near back. But when we do comprehensive eye check, we usually assess how the left and right eye work together. Are they even working together? Meaning, when you look at to the right, to the left, are they even moving together? Are they even focusing together? So by comprehensively checking the patient or the kids, we can assess if naa sila problem at near. Because vision can be screened clearly at far, clear the eye, but they have issues. They have focusing problems at near the eye. So that's why I'm just clarifying the importance of comprehensive eye exam. Okay, for the next part, visual environment advice. So according to myopia profile, this is actually what we usually advise. At least 90 minutes a day outdoors, and try your best your kids to be sun smart. Okay, I know it's very challenging, but even though by stepping outside lang sa door or sa ground lang, at least makita gud ba, makakita inyong kids og sunlight. And later on, I'll explain why sunlight is important. And as well, 20-20 rule. So every 20 minutes, take a break, have a Kit Kat, joke. Take a break and look at far at 20 feet for 20 seconds, okay? 20 seconds. Because again, the importance of taking a break is so important because when you look straight, our eyes are straight, no muscles are contracting, exterior and interior muscles wala yung nag-contract, meaning relax ang mata, okay? And then the elbow rule. Elbow rule actually is developed by Dr. Boyd Harmon. So he developed this. It is the distance between your eyes and the book. So it's basically, okay, stand your arm and then form a fist, put it under your chin, and then reading material or a phone, it should be here, over there. Okay, so this is the distance only. Okay, so when you read, when you study, it's very important to maintain that distance because anything closer than your desired or required distance will also create discomfort when they read. Not just for kids, huh? This is for everybody. Okay, so when they study, when you read, when you do something, look at your phones, make sure you follow the elbow rule or the Harmon's distance by Dr. Harmon. Okay, and then make sure you follow the 2-hour rule as well for screening. So there is an according to Philippine Pediatric Ophthalmology Society, and also American Optometric Association and the World Council of Optometry, or WHO as well, they advise that at age 2 years old and below, dapat no screen time. And 2 to 5 years old, dapat at least 1 hour lang or less. And 6 years old above, 2 hours ang screen time, but provided it's for educational purposes only. Okay? Because sometimes when kids study using their laptop monitor, and then after that they will have their break, they still look at the phones. Give them break also na dapat di sila mo use the phone. Okay? So this is the importance of light exposure. So outside, there is a 15,000 lux, or that's the measurement of light. So researchers, they research and study that outdoor light intensity is 15,000. And then indoors, like the room when we work, it's 500 only. Average, it's on average 500. And poorly lit rooms like our rooms, bedrooms, and we try to use our phone when you use or study using our phones or tablets, and that's only 50. Okay, so if you notice 15,000, it's actually very good. That's very good for our eyes. It's because when we look at something, especially when we study or read under the sun, I mean not really under the sun but outside, we can see easily, especially for our 40 years old and above citizens. So they notice, clear ka akong mata do, clear na jud kaayo, but they're actually reading outside. That's because well-lit man kayo ang environment, very good. That's why they can see easily, okay? But then when you go inside your rooms, when you work, it's just limited lang po ng lux. So imagine, if 15,000 ang ato ang actually outdoor light intensity, and sa sulod when you study, gamay ra, the cause of that will be stress to our eye. It will lead to stress. It creates stress or tiredness of our eyes. Okay? Kay dili man insakto ang atong lighting. So again, ano important ang lux? The more lux, the better eyes are protected, especially against myopia. That's because high light levels of outdoor light triggers the release of retinal dopamine. So what am I talking about? This is ocular growth inhibitor. It's a hormone that actually helps inhibits myopic development. It means na when the kid's eyes are growing, if naa siya vitamin D, dili siya mo grow quickly. Medyo hinay lang, slow ang iyang growth. That's why it inhibits myopic development. Okay, so make sure kids must have outdoor activities or makagawas sara at least 90 to 120 minutes a day. So for myopic options, if you are wondering how to control man myopia, okay? So before, decades ago, by giving correction, giving glasses lang to make it clear, to make the kids' vision clear is okay. But according to studies, it's actually ineffective. Okay? They can only actually see clearly at far, but how about the peripheral area or sa gilid? Wala kayo na correct. It's because central raman ang gi-correct. Meaning when we look at the center, puro na yung atong gi-correct sa vision. Munang clear siya sa far. But there's actually also a prescription or a grade at near. So that's why single vision glasses is ineffective according to researchers. And some options are progressive lenses, doble vista sa mga kids. And also this one is they invented this lens. A Hong Kong doctor invented this lens. And then it can also, they have a very high efficacy rate, control rate. Okay, that's for glasses. This is for contacts. Maybe you will be saying, or some of you will say na, safe ba ang contact lens for kids? Bata pa kaayo. But you'll be surprised that contact lens wearers, especially in the other parts of the country, are actually kids. Okay, doctors are assessing them properly and they prescribe it correctly, and especially with the guidance of the parents, it's actually safe to wear as well, contact lens. So why is contact lens a good option as well? It's because they improve their self-confidence. Imagine lang if the kids, if children has, let's say, 300 or 400 na grado, and then when they wear glasses, it usually minifies the eyes, murag mugamay siya tanawon. So that can actually also contribute to their self-confidence, manaog. So contact lens is also okay. It improves their confidence. And then, actually, children age 8 to 12 appear to be safer contact lens wearers than teens because they listen to parents. Okay, they listen, they follow instructions. So masayo actually ang kids dispensan of contact lens. And infection rate for ortho-K, this ortho-K is a type of contact lens wherein itulog ra siya. It means it will reshape the cornea or the front part of the eye when they wear it. So it reshapes. So they used it for sleeping. Okay, so there's also contact lens, disposable lenses, soft lenses for daytime. So again, it depends on the kind of management. It's case-to-case basis. Whatever management that we give to patients, it's not actually good for all because, again, it's case-to-case basis. And then, if you notice here, BHVI or Brian Holden Vision Institute, they have a myopia calculator to actually calculate unsay future sa bata, unsay future na grade. Again, an example, 6 years old ang bata, and then if naanay 50 na grado, which is what I said a while ago, plus 75 ang normal, expected, it means. But if naanay 50, and then, bugitagaan na siya glasses, to clearly para makasi clearly sa far without control or management, from 50 when they reach age 17, mahimo na siyang average of 600 even higher, even 600 to 950. That's without the management. That's why you see the importance of managing as well as having the kids play outside. Okay, and then if we give management to the kids, contact lens or glasses, especially the kind of management, instead of mahimong 900, more or less average of 3.69 or 300 lang ang grado. According to studies, according to this calculator, 300 lang ang magrado sa patient when they reach at 17 years old. Okay. So now you see the importance of managing the grade of the eyes of the kids at a young age, okay? So it's important again so that reduce ang lifetime risk of these conditions, okay? So for anybody listening right now, to everyone listening right now, this website, www.mykidsvision.org, it's a free online tool that can help parents assess and manage their risk for kids. Okay, so you can check that out, mykidsvision.org. So this one is an important part of my talk as well because we know maybe some of you will be asking these common myths, okay, and some facts as well. First, eating carrots will improve your vision. Is that a myth? Maybe you can type it in the chat box. Is that a myth or a fact? Let's see. Let's have an interaction here. Is that a myth or a fact? Anybody can type that in the chat box. First, actually eating carrots, it's a myth. It will not improve your vision, but it will maintain your vision. So just to clarify the term, when they say, "Oy, I will just eat carrots kay para ma-okay akong mata," it's actually maintaining your vision, not improving your vision. Especially katong na yung mga grado na they will say nga, "Oh, I'll just eat carrots na lang para manawag ang grado sa akong eyes." Okay, so that's a myth. Next, wearing glasses or contact lens will make you dependent on them. That's a myth again. You have to wear glasses because, or contact lens because you need it. That's because blurred in your vision, but it will not make you dependent on them, okay? Wearing the wrong glasses will hurt your eyes. It's a myth again. It will only create discomfort, headache, eye strain, because kulang ang grado ba or incorrect ang grado ba. Or even not just the grade, the fitting of the frame as well. If lopsided ang frame, like that, misaligned, it will still give you discomfort. And here, learning disabilities are caused by eye problems. So if you notice there, learning disabilities are caused by problems with how the brain processes what it sees or hears. Okay, signs of learning disability include trouble learning to read or write, trouble learning to read or write, poor grades in math or difficulty organizing thoughts and information. Sometimes poor vision can be mistaken for a learning disability. Okay, so if you notice that a child is struggling in school, have them check with a doctor or a specialist just to make sure that maybe blurred na dia ilang vision. Or aside from blurred, it could be some binocular or eye and left eye problem that are not even working together. Okay, so you can improve another statement here. You can improve your vision with eye exercises. May improve ba? It's a myth. That's because it will not improve your vision, okay? Meaning, when you say improve mo, clear akong eyes with eye exercises. Or maybe you've heard about eye yoga. It's actually exercising left, look at right, look up, look down, rotate your eyes. It's exercising your muscles, but again, it will not improve your vision. Lastly, that's a myth, okay? It will not get your eye grade higher. It's because your grade gets higher because of some reasons, but not because of wearing the glasses. Okay, so I hope these are clarified to our listeners right now. Okay, so lastly, some take-home messages. Just make sure, observe proper ergonomics, do not ignore symptoms. If you have the symptoms, visit your doctor. Regular examination, 1 to 2 years, but again, depending on the case and age. And take care of your eyes. Eat right by eating the right kind of vegetables and fruits. Again, brighter colored vegetables and fruits are best. Always remember the 2022 rule. Every 20 minutes, look at far at 20 feet and 2 hours rest or 2 hours of light exposure. Blink at least 15 times. Lastly, elbow rule and proper lighting. So when you have these, if you follow them, you might not have any problems. But again, if you have problems, see your doctor. So once again, thank you for listening. That concludes my talk.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Tabasuares. Surely your talk wasn't only full of information that not only equip us to help others, but it is very practical as well. So we asked Dr. Rheza to stay with us for the Q&A later. Meanwhile, we call on Ms. Judea Taring of the Dumaguete City Host Lions Club International to introduce our next guest.
So, greetings to all of you. We will be hearing from a high-achieving doctor who has a budding yet already successful career in ophthalmology. She's a board-certified ophthalmologist who graduated from Silliman University Medical School with a degree of Doctor of Medicine last 2013. She completed her residency in ophthalmology at the Cardinal Santos Medical Center in San Juan City, Metro Manila last 2018, where she was the chief resident and had an overall rank of 9th place in the nationwide in-service exam. Our speaker went on to have her medical retina clinical research fellowship at the Singapore Eye Research Institute, or otherwise known as the Singapore National Eye Center, last July 2019 to October 2020 in Singapore. She's not only a diplomate in the Philippine Board of Ophthalmology, but she's also certified internationally with the International Council of Ophthalmology. She is a member of the Royal College of Surgeons of Edinburgh, which is based in the United Kingdom. Our esteemed speaker is currently affiliated with all the hospitals in Dumaguete: ACE Dumaguete Hospitals, Fred Hollows Eye Clinic at the Negros Oriental Provincial Hospital, Holy Child Hospital, Negros Polymedic Hospital, and at the Silliman University Medical Center. Everyone, please help me give a warm welcome to our speaker, Dr. Janice Marie N. Ordan.
Hello, everyone. Allow me to share my screen for a while. Thank you again, Judea, for a very nice introduction. Okay. So thank you again, Fred Hollows and Dumaguete Lions Club, for allowing me to share one of a very close topics to my heart. So it's diabetic retinopathy. So it is the leading cause of preventable blindness all over the world. Okay, so for my disclosure, I don't have disclosures, but these are my affiliations. So even the Bible agrees that the sense of sight is the most important sense in our body. So Matthew 6:22 says, the eye is the lamp of the body. So if your eye is healthy, your whole body will also be full of light. So this month is Sight Saving Month. So I am one with the Philippine Academy of Ophthalmology and also the Vitreous Retina Society of the Philippines in celebrating Sight Saving Month and creating diabetic retinopathy awareness, and campaigning for its awareness is an important part of our program during this month. So it is said that diabetes, together with its complications, is a global health problem. So currently, the WHO has already said that there are 422 million adults who have diabetes, and about 1.5 million of the deaths are caused by diabetes. So that's about 1 person in 11 citizens all over the world. So there are 3 main types of diabetes: type 1, type 2, and gestational diabetes. But all of this can create problems in your retina or in your eye. Okay, so it's in 2015, an estimated of about 415 million people had diabetes globally. And this number is projected to increase about more than 50%, approximately close to 60% in 2040. So it's projected to increase to about 642 million. So diabetic retinopathy, which is our topic this evening, is the leading cause of blindness and visual impairment in working age adults. So that includes me and some of our participants today. So it is associated with, number 1, poor quality of life, lower levels of psychosocial well-being, and also an increased risk of other diabetic complications. So the risk factors for type 2 diabetes, which is the most common type of diabetes in the world, is unhealthy diet, physical inactivity, overweight or obesity, which we are all at risk for now that it's pandemic. So we stay in the home most of the time. We eat unhealthily, and through this, without us walking around or doing some exercise because of the pandemic, then we are also at risk for this. This is coupled with our family history as well. So if you have family history of diabetes, you have an increased risk of developing diabetes. So what is the global burden of diabetic retinopathy? So it is estimated that more than 1/3 of those who have diabetes worldwide have some form of diabetic retinopathy. And in 1/3, nearly 1 in 10 have vision-threatening levels of diabetic retinopathy. This includes proliferative diabetic retinopathy or diabetic macular edema, which I will further explain later. So diabetic retinopathy is actually the number 1 leading cause of blindness in the United States. So legal blindness is actually defined as 20/200 vision in your better eye. So what is the national burden of diabetic retinopathy? We have to relate it here to the Philippines. So a few years ago, the prevalence of diabetic retinopathy among diabetic patients, there's a research published in the Philippine Journal of Ophthalmology in December 2005. So in 241 patients that come into the clinic, about 61.8% or 83.6% respectively has been diagnosed with diabetic retinopathy. That's a very large number or percentage. So in this study, approximately 1 in 5 patients have proliferative disease at the time of enrollment who were also at risk for visual loss. So what is diabetic retinopathy and its risk factors? So diabetic retinopathy is a complication that affects our eye, specifically our retina. So Dr. Rheza Badon has already discussed about what the retina is. So it is the light-sensitive tissue at the back of our eye. So it receives all the light that is refracted towards the retina, and this retina and the retina actually sends our signals through the optic nerve to our brain. So this is just an illustration. You can see that the light passes through the cornea first, through the lens, refracting it to the retina. And the retina is, tawag natin sa Tagalog, no? Ito yung pelikula ng mata. So all the signals from the retina has been transported through the optic nerve to our brain. So it's very important. It's a very important part of our eye. No? You can have a normal cornea, normal lens, but if you have a problem in your retina, you won't be able to see as well. So look at this. This is a normal retina. Look at it. It's like a painting. So God is very, he's a master creator and he's a master painter, no? This is his masterpiece, one of his masterpieces. So our retina is actually one of God's masterpiece. So this is a normal retina. You see there are normal blood vessels. The optic nerve looks healthy. The macula in the center looks healthy, and then there is no blood, no exudates. But in diabetic retinopathy, there will be abnormal hemorrhage or blood, cotton wool spots or exudates, macular edema, or what we call hubag, no, in Bisaya, or maga in Tagalog, no, and microaneurysms, which are outpouching of vessel walls, and in later stages, abnormal growth of blood vessels. Okay, so this is an example of a severe non-proliferative diabetic retinopathy. You can see, if you compare it to the previous picture that I showed you earlier, it's very different, you see. So the blood vessels are in abnormal caliber, and also there are a lot of dot blot hemorrhages and flame-shaped hemorrhages along the arcades or our veins or our arteries that supply our retina. So pangit po yung severe non-proliferative diabetic retinopathy. So in later stages, proliferative diabetic retinopathy, wherein because your retina is not supplied properly by blood, there will be areas of ischemia or hindi na papadalhan ng blood ng ating katawan, no? So it will increase our vascular endothelial growth factors. So ito po yung components, or parang it's a little hormone, no? Not a hormone, but components ng mata natin. If it increases, no, it will trigger our eye to produce abnormal blood vessels. These abnormal vessels are very fragile, and then they will bleed easily. So in proliferative diabetic retinopathy, you will see vitreous hemorrhage, or the blood with these abnormal vessels burst, and then it will produce vitreous hemorrhage, which you can see, no, in the bottom left of the optic nerve. And in later stages, tractional retinal detachment. So vitreous hemorrhage triggers membrane production. So these are epiretinal membrane production, which can pull on your retina, which results in tractional retinal detachment. So unfortunately, if you reach this stage, vision cannot be regained back to what was normal. So this is very sight-threatening. Pangit din siya tingnan, no? So here are diabetic retinopathy comes in stages. So the main thrust actually of ophthalmologists is to create awareness so that we can see or screen diabetic retinopathy at a very early stage. So in mild diabetic retinopathy and moderate non-proliferative diabetic retinopathy, they are just outpouching, some hemorrhages, but most of the time we don't need to do anything. No, ophthalmologists don't need to do anything other than observe, and then we work with our partner endocrinologist to control the sugar of the patient. But if we reach later stages, then we will have intervention. And this intervention does not come cheap, nor is accessible to some parts of the Philippines. So it's very important that we catch diabetic retinopathy at an early stage. So here are the common treatments of diabetic retinopathy. Eye injections. So most of the patients, they get put off by hearing eye injection. Syempre, because it's an injection of a certain compound in your eye to lessen the growth of abnormal blood vessels. Hindi po madali na sabihin, i-injectionan po yung mata. No? Focal laser, which is available here in Dumaguete, cathetered laser, and vitrectomy. Vitrectomy is just like laparoscopic surgery, but inside the eye, no? So it's a very subspecialty procedure. So in stages of diabetic retinopathy, here are what we usually do as eye doctors. So in earlier stages, like in mild and in moderate non-proliferative diabetic retinopathy, we just observe and monitor. So this is the best time that you can screen patients so that we can still prevent them from developing severe. Because once severe proliferative diabetic retinopathy ensures, or if it worsens to severe, then we consider if we do laser. So at this stage as well, macular edema o maga sa sentro ng retina is usually treated with anti-VEGF injection. Ito po yung sinabi ko earlier, na injection, you inject a certain compound inside the eye. Tapos, in later stages, proliferative diabetic retinopathy, laser is a must. It's pan-retinal photocoagulation, and if with macular edema, anti-VEGF injections or the injections inside the eye. So this is what we do in pan-retinal photocoagulation or laser. So because in diabetes, the peripheral of the retina is usually ischemic or wala pong blood flow, we try to redirect blood flow towards the macula and also prevent the retina from forming abnormal blood vessels by filling it with scattered laser. So this is what a scattered laser looks like. So this we consider it doing in severe non-proliferative diabetic retinopathy, or it is a must in proliferative diabetic retinopathy. So this is to prevent complications which I showed earlier of tractional retinal detachment. So what are the risk factors in diabetes? So the non-modifiable, for example, is puberty, pregnancy, family history. But the modifiable risk factor that can prevent visual loss in diabetic retinopathy are hyperglycemia, or pag mataas yung blood sugar ninyo, hypertension, pag mataas yung blood pressure ninyo, dyslipidemia, or if mataas yung cholesterol, or other lipid, or your lipid panel has some abnormalities, and obesity. So all these four is actually modifiable. Kaya visual loss in diabetic retinopathy can actually be controlled or be prevented. So at a very late stage, kasi, we are at a loss of what to do then. So prevention is still better than cure. So here are the other, this is just a other risk factors that we want to control in diabetic retinopathy. I want to highlight though smoking. So smoking also affects diabetic retinopathy, or actually it worsens it. So other than the metabolic triad that you have to control, Other modifiable risk factors are vices, so smoking and also inuman or like alcohol drinking. So these are very important to note, okay? Because other than the blood glucose, if you have a controlled sugar, if your blood pressure is increased or your lipid profile is abnormal, diabetic retinopathy can still worsen. Okay, so this is just the omnious octet of diabetes. So it's very important that we work with our endocrinologist, internal medicine, and our family medicine partners to control hyperglycemia in diabetes so that we can prevent these complications, not only in the eye, actually, but in our liver, brain, no? Liver, brain, and our kidneys, and even our heart. So what are the complications of diabetic retinopathy? So the three main complications that I want to discuss, there are actually more, no? But these are the three complications that I want to discuss with you. So diabetic macular edema, diabetic macular ischemia, and the tractional retinal detachment, which the picture that you saw earlier, no? So when the doctor looks at your retina, actually, no, the central part is your macula. So this is the most important part of your retina because it is your assigned, no? This is the area where your central vision is assigned. So any problem in the macula, then vision is also threatened. So this is edema, no? Diabetic macular edema. So the macula or the central part of your retina will be maga, no? It will be edematous. So this is where, no, yung kanina, Dr. Rheza Tabasuares already told you that the light from the cornea through the lens has to be directed towards the macula for optimum vision. So in diabetes, no, this area can be swollen. You can just imagine looking at a person and then not seeing in the center. So this is very, very troublesome in diabetic retinopathy. So the treatment involves eye injection. No? So for this to be prevented, no, it's very important that you control all those modifiable risk factors so your risk will be decreased. Diabetic macular ischemia, on the other hand, there will be no maga. It will just be that your macula will will die out because of poor blood flow. So it will atrophy, kung sa medical terms pa. So maninipis po siya, no? So a normal fovea, no, has an area where there is no blood flow. But in diabetic macular ischemia, because of the poor blood flow, this increases. That means, no, if you're a patient and then you have diabetic macular ischemia, no, you will see a dark spot in the middle of or in your central vision. And unfortunately, there is no treatment for diabetic macular ischemia. And visual loss is usually permanent. So you will have a permanent black spot in the middle of your vision. So this is one of the researches, no, done in Singapore National Eye Center. So it is said, no, that diabetic macular ischemia can be observed in increasing the alterations in the retina microvasculature or in the foveal avascular zone increases with increasing severity of diabetes retinopathy. So these changes are also correlated with reduced retinal sensitivity, or in other words, reduced vision. So here is another research that which I was part of, no? So this says that if you started with diabetic macular ischemia today, it can still worsen in 1 year, and your retinal sensitivity will also worsen over the year. So it's very important. Diabetic macular ischemia has to be prevented. So this should be coupled with not only controlling your diabetes, but also your hypertension, because hypertension, no, can result, or it's those with hypertension, uncontrolled hypertension, is more at risk with diabetic macular ischemia. Okay, and the last, no, but not the least, actually this is the most worrisome complication of tractional retinal detachment, of diabetic retinopathy, is tractional retinal detachment. Just imagine your retina just like a tissue paper, and it's being crumpled. So this is the late stage in diabetic retinopathy. Ang pangit po. So it's very important that we raise awareness that diabetic retinopathy has a propensity to do this inside your eye. So if I want you to reimagine what a normal retina looks like and compare it with this. So just imagine being a doctor seeing this in your clinic. So it's actually disheartening, no? So for this complication, it needs vitreoretinal surgery. So in Negros Oriental, in the whole Negros Oriental, there is still no local vitreoretina surgeon. So imagine catching patients like this in your clinic and not being able to refer, not being able to have someone to refer to in the province, especially now that it's pandemic. You have to tell the patients that, oh, I need to refer you to Cebu or in Manila because we cannot do your surgery here in Dumaguete. So I have a lot of patients. So a lot of patients that I had to refer. So most, if not all, those that are in the dialysis unit has some form of tractional retinal detachment, as I observed sa patients na pumupunta sa clinic. No? So it's very disheartening actually to find patients at that stage, because we can do diabetic retinopathy screening. So in diabetic retinopathy screening, the major goal is to catch this retinal complication, no, of diabetes in earlier stages. So we can prevent these anatomic damages that can occur in the future or worsen in the future. So here is the recommended eye examination for patients with diabetes. So in type 1 diabetes, or the juvenile diabetics, it's usually 3 to 5 years after diagnosis. And then if proven to have no diabetic retinopathy, then you have to follow up at least yearly. In type 2 diabetes, however, it has to be at the time of diagnosis, because type 2 diabetes is usually catched at a later stage. So usually it has been developing over 5 to 10 years. So if at the time of diagnosis, you're not diagnosed to have diabetic retinopathy, then see an eye doctor yearly to check your retina. And in pregnancy, because pregnancy hormones can actually worsen diabetes, it is recommended that before conception or in early trimester, where our hormones are very high, that we see an eye doctor for screening in diabetes. So those with gestational diabetes has to be checked before conception or in the early first trimester. So then, those with moderate to severe diabetic retinopathy, then we see every 3 to 6 months. Or those with at the later stages, we see every month. Or those with complications like what I said earlier. So a retinal exam involves an eye doctor looking at your retina. So it has to be that your pupil be dilated so that we can see the whole retina. So this is accomplished by your eye doctors. So usually they dilate you with eye drops and see the back of your retina using a special lens or special equipment. So to end, that was a very short talk, but to end, let me share to you this, screen and track. So this is developed by NIH, So protect your vision from diabetes, have a dilated eye exam every year, and follow these steps to keep track, your health in track. So TRACK. T, if you're diabetic, take your medications as prescribed by your doctor. Don't resort to herbal medications, no? And R, reach and maintain a healthy weight. A, add more physical activity to your daily routine. I know this is very hard during the pandemic, but try, no? C, control your ABCs, the glycated hemoglobin, fasting blood sugar, or blood pressure, and cholesterol levels. And K, please kick the smoking habit, not only smoking, but also alcohol. Okay, so remember, for diabetic retinopathy, screen and track. Okay, so to end my talk, I want to acknowledge the volunteers in Fred Hollows Eye Clinic, Dr. Rheza Badon-Tabasuares for optometry, Dr. Lorenzo Veracruz, our fellow ophthalmologist, my husband, Dr. Daryl Jason Yu, and also the previous volunteers in Fred Hollows Eye Clinic before, Dr. Florencita Jordan, Dr. Albert Flores, and Dr. Gerardo Cinco. Okay, so this is just a picture of the team in Fred Hollows Eye Clinic in NOPH. So this is Kira, one of our nurses, and Arlene, one of our OR nurses. Thank you very much for listening, and I'm ready to take your questions.
So thank you very much, Dr. Jordan Yu. Certainly your talk is very relevant, especially in this time when diabetes is very prevalent, especially that certainly we have family members that may be affected with this. So can we call on both our speakers again to join me as we try to answer questions that have been coming in? So maybe we can just answer 2 or 3 questions. Hi, Dr. Jordan Yu and Dr. Tabasuares.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Yes, so there is a question here regarding diabetic retinopathy that may cause blindness in adults, right? So is this complication also possible with kids that are underage? Of course, underage kids with diabetes. So is this also possible with them?
Thank you very much for your question. I'm sorry, I'm in the OR. I just finished my surgery. Usually, not in type 1 diabetes, it is called the juvenile type of diabetes. So usually, the patients are less than 30 years old, and it starts fairly young. So when the diabetes starts fairly young, the diabetic retinopathy sets in about 5 to 10 years. So yes, if you start diabetes young, then of course, you would expect, if it's not controlled, that you can still develop diabetic retinopathy. For example, there are those that are diagnosed at 2 years of age or 5 years of age. At around 12 or around 15, then we expect that you have diabetic retinopathy in different stages once they reach that age. So the key is actually the control of the diabetes. However, in children, it's very hard to control the diabetes. You have to work with your pediatrics and also your pediatric endocrinologist, which I think here in Dumaguete, we still don't have a pediatric endocrinologist, but we do have endocrinologists and diabetologists here in the city.
So it's important that at even whatever age you are, when you are diagnosed with diabetes or when your loved ones are diagnosed with diabetes, you refer them to an eye doctor for checkup, right? To at least save their eyes. So how about this question? When you say that when you lubricate the eyes, when we have made or dry eyes, what do we actually put in our eyes, and what is the best lubricant for this one? I think this is a question for Dr. Rheza.
Okay, so again, before we prescribe, we have to assess to make sure with what type of dry eye the patient has. So again, it's case-to-case basis. Eye drops is not good for all. again, because we need to make sure na if evaporative type ba or lahi nga type ba, then we need to make sure nga certain drops will be prescribed to them as well. So again, I cannot say any brand because there are a lot of brands actually, as long as it's artificial tears. But it depends also kay naman po yung mga patients who are sensitive to preservatives. They also need to be assessed good actually. So we can also do prescribe preservative-free eye drops or lubricants.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Rheza. And maybe for our last question, what could be some indications that our patients, especially that we have our rural health unit workforce here with us today, that their patients need to be referred to an optometrist or an ophthalmologist? So what could be some indications that they may have seen with their patients?
Dr. Janice?
Oh, go ahead, Doc. You first.
Okay, so basically, again, both are primary eye doctors. We can still check, we assess, we diagnose, but again, for further management and treatment, especially eye diseases, we actually refer them to our friendly ophthalmologists. Okay, so actually you can see anybody because if you have problems about the eyes, both can still address it. But then, serious matters about the eyes, we actually need to refer it to them. Yeah.
Just to add, since we have our health workers here, I suggest that all preschool kids should be referred to an eye doctor because other than myopia, we have the condition called lazy eye. It can be also brought about by myopia, and it should be catch at an early stage, at least less than 8 years old, because changes in the eye can also be permanent. If you've heard about lazy eye, it's actually devastating because although you just need glasses, and then if it's not corrected at an early age, then the vision loss is actually permanent. So all kids, preschool and school age, should be referred to an eye doctor. And those with systemic diseases, please refer them also because especially diabetes, high blood, or hyperlipidemia, please refer them also because it has devastating effects in the retina. A screening, once they be seen and then proven no retinopathy, then it's just once a year check. But if we screen them early and we catch certain diseases in the eye early, then we can do so much more compared to when they are referred late. So please don't hesitate to refer to your eye doctor, either to an optician, optometrist, or an ophthalmologist. Basta na mo screen, no? It's very important, especially that we are in a third world country.
Okay, so thank you very much, Dr. Tabasuares and Dr. Herdan Yu. It is important that we refer it to them. They can be seen, or you can schedule an appointment with them in the Fred Hallows Eye Clinic in the Negros Oriental Provincial Hospital, right? So you may refer consultations with them. So what an afternoon we are having. However, all good things must come to an end. We now give the spotlight to Dr. Lilan Zoila B. Estacion, the head of the Provincial Health Office of Negros Oriental, and Ms. Angeline D., the president of the Dumaguete City Host Lions Club International, to award the certificates of appreciation to our guest experts. And right after, Dr. Estacion and Ms. D. will also deliver the closing remarks.
Thank you so much. So this certificate of appreciation is given to Dr. Rheza Marisse Badon-Tabasuares for sharing her valuable knowledge as guest speaker about what you need to know about computer vision syndrome and myopia. And signed, me, myself, Lilan Zoila B. Estacion, Dr. Maria Victoria Ronderes, Dr. Miss Angeline S.D. and Francisco M. Martinez. Dr. Tabasuares. And the other one is also a certificate of appreciation to Dr. Janice Marie N. for sharing your valuable knowledge as guest speaker about the leading cause of preventable blindness, diabetic retinopathy. Signed, me myself, Dr. Victoria Rondares, Miss Angeline D. and Francisco Ramirez. Martinez. So I just want to also extend because Doctora you is the daughter of Doctora Hordan, which is the they were the prime movers of the Fred Hallows eye clinic in the provincial Negros Oriental Provincial Hospital.
So thank you very much, Dr. Estacion. You may now begin delivering the closing remarks, and then you will be followed by our president, also Ms. Angeline.
Okay. To Dr. Tabasuares, Dr. Yu, Janice Marie Hordan Yu, and to Miss Angeline D. Eyes is very important in our health, no? As a person, we really need our eyes, no? Mausog jud ang atong life if we cannot see. Okay. In the school, we really found many slow learners. We thought that they are slow learners, but during our primary eye care program, we saw that these slow learners, the problem is eyesight, no? So dako jud kay tabang, no, in the province for our school children na we have this program. We have the most important thing is we have things that we have to keep on to us to have a healthy eyes, no? So moni ako na learn during the maintain a healthy diet, get regular exercise, wear sunglasses or the blue glasses, wear protective eyewear, avoid smoking, know your family medical history, and know your risk factors, no? I think this summarized everything sa tanan nga lecture sa atong mga guest speaker this evening. So I hope to all who are here now that we'll just not stop with us, but we have to share this to all our people, no? Especially the health workers. Na we have to share this to our co-health workers so that what we are talking now can be prevented. I thank you very much.
Okay, as I close this event, I hope that all of us will not lose sight, no pun intended, of its purpose, which is to increase awareness of the importance to keep our eyes in good health. The Dumaguete City Host Lions Club looks forward to engaging all of you in other similar activities. While many people value their health, the eyes is an organ that is typically not among those on the top of the list to take good care of. Let us all change this perception. I thank you all for joining this event and have a wonderful day. Thank you.
And just like that, we are now at the end of our webinar this afternoon. We are also grateful for making this event possible to the Provincial Office of Negros Oriental, Fred Hallows Foundation Philippines, the Dumaguete City Host Lions Club International, and the Negros Oriental Chamber of Commerce and Industry. This webinar will be accessible for replays in the Dumaguete City Host Lions Club International Facebook page and will soon be uploaded in YouTube in the Learning Event Series channel. For those who would want a certificate of attendance for this webinar, instructions will be given via poll questions as you leave this webinar, or you may click the link posted in the chat box for a direct link to the Google Forms. Please fill in your information correctly. We strictly adhere to the Privacy Act for all personal data submitted. Your e-certificates will be sent within the week. We are further reminding everybody that we have not applied for CPD units for this activity. However, you can attach the certificate for this event as part of your self-directed learning. On that note, we finally end this webinar. Have a good day. May God bless and protect us and our family and friends always. Thank you very much.